Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So we have already discussed about a flower. It is the most attractive part of the plant. I am repeating it. Some common flowers which you can see in your surroundings are hibiscus, rose, jasmine, sunflower, etc. Then a flower has different parts. It is not only a single piece, but it has different parts inside. So a typical diagram of a part of flower is given in your book on page number 24. You can have a look at that. Now, from where do flowers develop? We were talking about that. Okay. Like suppose this is a plant, this is a stem, these are the leaves. Then some like this structure you can see. Okay. Some small bud-like structures you can see in plant. So these are the buds. Okay, this is the bud from where the flower grows into a new individual. Okay, the flower's initial condition is known as bud condition. So it develops from a floral bud. Okay, like this branch is there, and over that branch a bud will be there, and sepals will be there. Then this bud will grow and grow and grow and will form a big flower. Okay, like this. So from if you are asked from where does a flower grow, what is your answer? From a floral bud. Okay, a flower grows from a floral bud. Then a flower is the reproductive part of a plant. That's also a main thing. Which part is the reproductive part of a plant? You all know plant has stem, root, leaves, branches, etc. So among these things, among these parts, flower is the one part which is the reproductive part of the plant. From in flower, reproduction takes place. Nothing else. For example, stem is present there, stem and roots are there for what purpose? For providing support and for carrying water and oxygen, etc. And what for what purpose leaves are there? Prepare food. To make their own food, leaves are present there. So what is the role of a flower? A flower is the reproductive organ here. It gives, yes, is anybody saying anything? Okay. So flower is the reproductive part. Okay. So every individual, like whether it's an animal, whether it's a plant, whether it's a human being, we all reproduce, right? So flower also reproduce by their own pollens and stigmas, whatever it is. Some parts are there. We will let you know. There we will discuss these parts right now. So flower reproduces, and the flower, a plant consisting of some flowers. So that flower is known as the reproductive part of that plant. And now talking about flower, now how is the flower attached to the stem? It is usually attached by a stalk, or we can say a pedicel. You can see in the diagram, the last portion, last green portion is the pedicel. Okay, pedicel or stalk. And in some flowers, we have studied that in some flowers, pedicel is absent. That is, stalk is absent and the flower is directly attached to the stem. Those flowers are known as sessile flowers. Right? Do you remember we have studied in first chapter, I guess. Let me see. It was there somewhere, or maybe in another class, maybe I don't remember. But there are some flowers which don't have a stalk in between them. Yes, yes, yes. Here you can see on page number 11, petiole. The stalk that attaches the leaf to the stem is called a petiole. In some leaves, the stalk is absent. These leaves directly attached to the stem. Such leaves are called sessile leaves. Okay, so that time they are known as sessile. But here, when stalk is present, then we don't have such particular names. This stalk is also known as pedicel. Okay. Now this diagram is very easy to understand. Like you have to draw this thing like this. This is the pedicel. Okay, then going upwards, you have a little cup-shaped structure known as thalamus. Thalamus or receptacle. We can also name it as receptacle. You can see the tip of the pedestal is swollen. This is a swollen cup-like structure. This is known as thalamus, or you can also say receptacle. You can write there receptacle. R E C E P T A C L E, receptacle. Okay, receptacle. The thalamus is also known as receptacle, this thing. Then, moving forward, this receptacle. Now, this is the portion from where the organs grow. Organs means all the organs, the sepal, the petal, the stigma, the female reproductive part, the male reproductive part, everything grows from this portion. Are you getting my point, everyone? Are you following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so from where does the organs grow? From this receptacle, or you can say from this thalamus portion. So this is the portion from where all the organs grow. You can see in the diagram also from here. Okay, inside this receptacle we have this ovary. Okay, we have this ovary. This is the ovary. Then it has ovules inside it, like this. Now this ovary extends upwards. This is the style. This is the stigma. Then sideways to the ovaries, that means from left side and the right side, male reproductive part arises like this. Male parts arises. These male parts are known as stamens. Okay, stamens. These male parts are known as. This diagram is very easy. If you draw it, like if you understand and draw this diagram, this is very easy to understand. Okay, like these bilobed anthers are there. Okay, so this is the style, this is the stigma. These are the male reproductive organs. Here on the left and right side, these are stamens. Okay, now stamen is divided into two parts. This structure, this thin line is known as filament. I'm just writing F here, filament. Then this lobed structure, you can see this is bilobed. One, it's like this it is. Okay, so this bilobe structure, which why it is known as bilobe, because one lobe is there. Okay, from it between it is divided, and there are two lobes. That is why it is known as bilobe structure. So this bilobe structure is known as anther A, and they together, that means anther and filament together form the stamen. Okay, anther and filament together form the stamen, which is the male reproductive part. For male, we use this symbol. Okay, a circle with an arrow upwards. This is the symbol for male. So this portion, anther, filament, collectively they are known as stamen, and the stamen is known as the male reproductive part. Now talking about the female reproductive part, we have the first one, stigma, ST. Then this line, this tube-like structure is known as style. And this portion, this bulged portion is the ovary in which ovules are present, ovary. Okay. So now this stigma, and ovary, these three collectively known as what? Pistil. Okay, it is known as pistil. Like for male, we collectively gave a term stamen. Okay, anther and filament collectively known as stamen, which is the male reproductive part. Now for female, right? Okay. For female, this stigma, style, and ovary, three of them collectively known as pistil. And it is also known as the carpel. That means the female part is collectively known as the carpel. CARPEL. P-E-L, C-A-R-P-E-L, carpel. So this is the female part. Now for female, we use this symbol. Okay, a circle with an a plus downwards. This is the symbol for female. Now, this is the female part, this is the male part. Now this is covered with petals. Okay, these are covered with petals. So how can you draw this diagram? This is the simplest way. First you can draw the pedicel, then the thalamus, then inside that you can draw the ovary, style, stigma, label it. Then along with that sideways you have to draw the anther, the stamen, which are the male parts. And then you can draw the petals like this. And then at last, what is the last one? Sepals, like this. Okay, these are the sepals. Yes. So is there any doubt in this topic?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I hope you have understood. I'm rubbing this. So I hope you got an idea how to draw this diagram of this flower. This is very important. This usually comes in every exam. But this time you have MCQs, so it must be there. I can't guarantee you it could be there or may not be there. But study thoroughly. Okay, sorry. This chapter is not coming. Only leaf is coming. Right. Only leaf is coming. Flower is not coming. Is it coming? Second chapter?
Both?
Yes. Is the
No, ma'am.
second chapter coming? No, right? Okay. Only the first chapter is coming in exam, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Go through the first chapter thoroughly. Okay, now come to this one back. So we have discussed the parts of a flower. You can see the diagram in your book. You can see thalamus, pedicel. The first bottommost part is pedicel. Then we have the thalamus, or we can say the receptacle. Pedicel is also known as stalk. Then we have an ovule in between, an ovary. First we have ovary, then inside that we have an ovule. Then this ovary extends upwards. This extended line is known as style, and the upward portion, which also looks like a V-shaped structure, is known as stigma. Then along with that sideways, male organs or male reproductive parts are present, which are known as stamen, divided into two, anther and filament. The bilobe structure is known as anther. The tube-like structure is known as filament. Now talking about female part, stigma, style and ovary together forms the female reproductive part, that is known as pistil. Collectively they are known as pistil, or we can say carpel also. Carpel. Then we have the petal and the sepals. Is it clear?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now come to, okay. Now we will discuss the parts of a flower in detail. So each part of a flower is arranged in a whorl. There are 4 whorls in a flower. So in total there are 4 whorls in a flower. What is a whorl? Whorl means a collective part of a flower. Like the first whorl, if we talk about the first whorl is the sepals. Okay, the first whorl is the sepal. Now you will think the innermost is the ovary, so ovary should be the first one. But no, we are starting from the outside. From outermost we start. So the outermost one is sepal. So this is the first whorl. Then the second one is the petal. Okay, so this petal, this one is the second whorl. Then third one is the male part. Okay, male part is surrounded by the, female part is surrounded by the male part. So this male part is the third one, which is the stamen. This is the third one. And the last female part, ovary, style and stigma, is, this is the fourth whorl. The first one is sepal, second one is petal, third one is male part, which is known as, collectively we have a name for male part, which is stamen, but stamen, collectively that male reproductive system is known as androecium. So androecium is the third part, and for female we use gynoecium, which is the fourth part. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 whorls. 4 whorls are there in a flower. First one is the sepal, Second one is the petal. Third one is the male part, which is known as androecium. Fourth one is the female part, known as gynosium. Okay, so now we will discuss it in detail. So can you see calyx? First one is calyx. Now calyx is nothing but a name given to, collective name given to the sepals. These sepals are collectively known as calyx. Okay, these are known as calyx. So calyx is the outermost wall. As I told you, it is the first wall. Okay, it is the first wall, outermost wall. Sepals are small green leaf-like parts. There are 4 to 5 or more sepals in a flower. They protect the inner parts of flower during bud stage. Now you have seen a flower. A flower consists of at least 4 to 5 sepals, right? In this diagram, we can only see 2, but in the back side also 2, 3 must be there. So total 4 or 5 sepals must be there in a flower. Then what is the function of this sepal? This basically protects the inner part. Now what is the inner part? The main petal, the female part, and the male part, reproductive part. So the sepal is basically a protector for all the inside parts. So this sepal is collectively known as calyx, and it is the first wall, okay, outermost wall. Then second one is the corolla. Now corolla is the petal. Corolla is the name given to petals. These are the petals. The sepals are the calyx. Now corolla is the name given for petals. Corolla. Okay. So corolla is the second inner wall. So it is the second inner wall, second in number, second wall. Petals are white colored petals are white or colored attractive parts of a plant. Okay, we have seen petals, they are usually white or they are brightly colored, differently colored. Okay, but there are some plants in which petals are also green. Those plants are known as sepals. Okay, those flowers in which petals are also green in color like sepals. So in those plants, they are known as sepals. That's different thing. But here we are talking about petals. These are white or differently colored. Then when the flower opens, the brightly colored petals attract insect or birds for pollination. You all know petals, the petal has different bright colors and they produce nectar. They have pollens inside them. So basically some pollinating agents like pollinating insects are there. The most common pollinating insects is a honeybee. You have seen a honeybee sitting on the top of the flower and then going to different flowers. It pollinates. Okay, that process is known as pollination. It is carrying the pollens from one flower to another, or in the same flower it is carrying the pollen to the stigma for further germination. Okay, so these flowers are attractive. They produce nectar. They have scent. Scent means smell. Fragrance is there. So that's why the insects attract towards the petals. The petals of some flowers have a natural fragrance. So this much is about the petals. Collective name is corolla. This is the second word. Then petals have different colors and produce nectar and have fragrance. That's why they attract insect and birds for pollination. So this is the second case, or we can say the second word, second part. The third one is the androecium. Okay, the male part, which is what is the name of male part? Stamens. Stamens, and the collective name is androecium. These are the stamens and thus I have made. So androecium is the third inner wall. This one, both of them together. This is the androecium, which is the male part, and this is the basically the third wall. Third inner wall is androecium. Okay. Then it lies inner to the petals. You can see in the diagram itself, this is the petal and this androecium is lying inner side to the petals. And it is made of stamens, which are the male reproductive parts. Now generally there are 4 to 5 stamens. I have made here 4. There must be 4 to 5 stamens in a flower. And I have already told you stamens are the male reproductive part. Then each stamen has a filament. That means stamen is divided into two. I told you already. Which one are they? Anther, the bilobe structure, which is anther, and the thin filament. Okay, thin thread-like structure known as filament. It bears the anther on its tip. The anther contains pollen sacs. Now, this anther, this bilobe structure, contains pollen sacs. Okay, this contain a pollen sac, and this pollen sacs contain pollen grains in it. Pollen grains, minute pollen grains are present. They are very minute and they are very delicate. Okay, they are very delicate. If we press them, they will just disappear. So they are very minute pollen grains are present inside the pollen sac, and this pollen sac is found in the anther. Okay, then pollen grains. Talking about pollen grains, they look like yellow powdery substances, and they contain male gametes, which are the male reproductive cells. Okay, for fusion, for reproduction, male cells and female cells are required. So this pollen grains contains the, like this small grains are there, and this contains the male gametes. Okay, so this is the third one. Then pollen grains have a tough protective covering that prevents them from drying up. This is an extra note. Pollen grains have a covering which does not allow them to dry up. Then fourth, we have the fourth whorl, Gyanosia. The Gyanosia. So talking about Gyanosia, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I ran
Yes,
into a
ma'am.
network issue. Okay, I ran into a network issue. So yes, just a minute. Yes, so we were discussing up to how much you heard. I think you heard up to Gynoecium, right? Anyone up to where you heard, like up to where you understood Gynoecium? Did you heard Gynoecium when I said Gynoecium? It was audible to you?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, fine, okay, fine. So gynoecium is the innermost and the fourth whorl of a flower. It is the female reproductive part. And this is known as pistil. I already told you stigma, style and ovary are collectively known as pistil, or we can say carpel. Okay, can you see this diagram? Stigma, style, ovary. This is known as pistil. Okay, you can see TS of a ovary. TS means a transverse section of a ovary is given here. TS refers to the transverse section. Okay, we have some sections, we have transverse sections, we have horizontal sections, vertical sections are there. Okay, TS and horizontal are similar. Okay, transverse like this, and vertical is this. So this is the TS, this one. Okay, transverse section of a ovary. So you can see ovules are present inside. Then this will have, okay, this will help in further reproduction of the flowers. Now you can see the pistil is the female reproductive part. It consists of ovary, style and stigma. I told you already. The top part of pistil is called the stigma. It is sticky, rough and hairy. It receives pollen grains during pollination. Now the stigma. Okay, I'm rubbing this. Okay, have you all understood this much? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm rubbing this. I'll show you Another diagram. Okay. About the ovary. This is the ovary, this is the style, and this is the stigma. Ovary has ovules inside it. Okay. Oh, this is such a bad diagram. I'll draw it again. Okay. This is the female reproductive part. This is the ovary. This is the, can anybody say what is this? This portion?
Style.
Style. Very
Style.
good.
Style.
Very good. And this one? This portion?
Stigma.
Yes.
Stigma.
Stigma. And can
Stigma.
anyone say what is this collectively known as? The stigma, style, and ovary is collectively known as
Pistil.
pistil. Very good.
Pistil.
Pistil. Pistil, or we can say carpel. Okay, pistil or carpel. So, talking about the female reproductive part, this top part, which is known as the stigma, it receives the pollen grains. Okay, when you can see, this is the filament, this is the anther, bilobe structure. Now this anther contains pollen sacs, and the pollen sacs have pollen grains inside it. Now from here, like we have self-pollination and cross-pollination. So if we talk about self-pollination, the pollens which are present here in the male part, it will come here to the female part. Okay, and it will stick to the stigma. So who is the receiver? Stigma is the receiver of the pollen grains from anther. Okay, the top part of a pistil is called stigma. It is sticky, rough and hairy. This stigma is very sticky. The sticky and hairy thing is there. So because of this sticky nature of stigma, all the pollens can stick here. Okay, all the pollens can come here, receives the pollen, and they can stick here on the stigma. Then the middle part of pistil is called style. It connects the stigma to the ovary, transfers the male gamete to the ovary. You can see the style. This is a tube-like structure. What is this? What is it doing? The stigma and the ovary are connected with the help of this style. So the style is acting like a bridge between them. Okay, both of them, the style and the stigma and the ovary are connected through this style. So it is a bridge between both of them. It is the connection of stigma and ovary. Also, what it do, when stigma receives the pollen grains from here, these pollen grains stick on the stigma and thus they move inwards. Okay, so style is basically also a pathway for the pollen grains to reach to the ovary. Are you getting my point?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes, ma'am.
style, through style, this pollen grains which have come and sat on the stigma will enter the style. Okay, just see my cursor. Okay, like this. It will enter here, it will stick here, the pollen grains, and then they will enter the style. Okay, the style is a tube, and by entering, they will reach the bottom. They will reach the ovary. So style is also a pathway for the pollen grains to reach to the ovary. Then the last part, the swollen base part of the pistil is called ovary. You can see this part. This is swollen. Okay, this is not shrunken. This is a swollen part. It contains tiny structures called ovules. These are the ovules. Can you see some kidney-shaped structures inside? These are the ovules. Then we have, these ovules contain female gametes. Okay, these ovules contain the female gametes. As we already told, the pollen grains which are present on the pollen sac contain the male gametes, and this ovules contain the female gametes. So when this pollen grains from this male part come in and sit here, and it passes through the style and reaches the ovary is the female part. So basically this pollen grain is fusing with the ovule, right? The pollen grain is fusing with the ovule. So both of them will fuse together and form what? A zygote. Okay, a zygote will be formed. A zygote is the initial stage of development. Okay, when a baby is formed, when even if a human baby is formed, first cell formed is the zygote. So here also zygote, or it is yes, zygote is formed by the fusion of the pollen grains and the ovule. Sorry, not the ovule. These ovules contain egg. Okay, these ovules have egg inside them. So this pollen will fuse. The pollen contains male gametes. These male gametes will fuse with the female eggs, and they will form the zygote. Is it clear? Yes. Okay, I'm rubbing this. Now we will discuss the next topic. Okay.
Ma'am,
yes.
this is structure of stamen.
Just now what I showed. Just now what I showed you.
Yes, ma'am. Pollen grains. This one.
Yeah. So I'll tell you again. Stamen is this one. Okay. This filament and this bilobe anther structure. Anther and filament togetherly known as stamen. Okay. This bilobe structure is anther, and this tube-like structure is filament. Okay. So both of them, anther and filament, together forms the stamen. And this stamen is the male reproductive part. This is the male part. Then what I showed you right now was ovary. Ovary, style, and stigma. This is the female part. Okay. Now ovary contains ovules. As I told, stigma receives the pollen grains from anther. Anther have pollen sacs inside it. Then this pollen sacs have pollen grains. So these grains are just sit on the stigma of the flower, or we can say the female part, and through the stigma these pollen grains pass from style and reach the ovules, and here the eggs which are present in the ovule will fuse with these pollen grains and form the zygote. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, if you have any doubt you can ask me again. I'll repeat the topic. Any doubts?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So make sure you all understand everything. Okay, you can ask me anytime. I will not scold you if you ask me questions. I'll repeat the topics for you. Okay, so you can ask me anytime. Don't feel shy. Don't feel hesitated. You can ask me if you have any doubt. I hope this much is clear to you. Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
Good, good. So now, how much time is left? Okay, 3 minutes is left. We will just sum up this topic. We will not discuss the next topic because it is a long one. These are types of flowers. Okay, just come to this page number 27. We will do this exercise for revision. In these 3 minutes, we will do this exercise. Okay, can I start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Exercise for revision. 27. Page number 27. 2727. Exercise for revision in the blue box. Tick the correct options. The reproductive part of a plant is which one? Tell me.
Flower.
Flower. Very good. Option D. Flower. Yes. Pollen grains are produced in. Where are the pollen grains produced?
Another.
Anther. It's anther.
And
Okay.
third.
Yeah. Very good. Option D. Anther. It is pronounced as anther. Then reproductive whorls of a flower are. Which are the reproductive whorls?
Androecium and gynoecium.
Yes, very good. The male part, androecium is the male part, gynoecium is the female part. So, male and female part forms the reproductive parts. So, option A, androecium and gynoecium. Then, which of the following is not a unisexual flower? Here, papaya, cucumber, mustard, pumpkin. Okay, papaya, cucumber, and pumpkin are bisexual. Sorry, mustard is not a unisexual flower. Okay, you have examples given in your book. So, mustard is not a unisexual. Then what is the main function of a flower?
To produce fruits and seeds.
Yes, very good. To produce fruits and seeds. Option D. Then circle the odd one and name the category to which the other three belong. China rose, mustard, pea, date palm. Which is the odd one? Here, date palm is the odd one.
Date palm.
Yeah, just circle it. Then the second one, rose, lily, gulmohar, cucumber. Cucumber is the odd one.
Cucumber.
Yes. So the other three category belong China rose, mustard, pea. We have example here. So when we discuss the other topics, we will get the answer. Okay, from there. We have not discussed flower yet. You can see on page number 25, types of flower, first paragraph. Examples are China rose, mustard and pea. The China rose, mustard, pea, they comes under incomplete, sorry, this one, complete flower. And the date palm does not comes under complete flower. So that's why we have circled date palm. Then again, rose, lily, gul moher, they belong to a particular type. The other one does not belong to that type. That's why we have circled cucumber. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then we are stopping today. Time is over. Yes.
Bye, ma'am.
Okay, bye everyone. Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, bye everyone.